Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on their fight story with Igdalia. We have Matt Denning, pro MMA fighter, currently 8-16. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's a beautiful Sunday out. Trying to pack up my house and get ready for this next fight.
When is your next fight?
I fight January 7th for Cage Titans in Plymouth, Mass. I'm fighting Aaron Hughes, 27, 28-year-old kid. I think I think this is a fight that he really needs to showcase his skills to see where his future holds in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 28, I was on my way out. I retired in 2018 when I was 28
Mm-hmm.
years old after a loss to Bill Jones. And after the time off from 28 to 30, I gained a whole bunch of weight. I got up to like 200 and almost 60 pounds. From that, I'm back down to fighting at 145. This
Mm-hmm.
fight is 155 just because it's wintertime and it's easier to not have the huge cut. But I'm coming off a win against Carl Langston at 145 pounds. It's been the MMA community has been weird to me. And I think that's the biggest reason why I got back into it. I'm on the wrong side of 30. I think I'd make a good promoter. I've been around New England a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with so many promoters fighting and doing the due diligence of fighting their 10-2 guys on 2 days'
Mm-hmm.
notice. I've seen all the mismatches and like who they let fight and who who the commission allows to fight. It blows my mind. So I need to get more into that
Mm-hmm.
part of fighting than the competing part. I'm hoping to go to bare knuckle fighting after this next cage fight and spend most of 2023 in the bare knuckle fighting ring.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I'm a great striker, but I think that they have the group of people, the connections that I need to move forward with what I want to do with my life. And I think it'll be extremely beneficial, and I can go punch some guys in the face and make money, and it'll all be fun.
How did you get into mixed martial arts?
I started boxing young. It all stems back to mental health. I
Mm-hmm.
started a company called V Twin Sin. Um, Motorcycles, Harley Davidson, really saved my life. I was depressed. I had fought for a long time. I did
Mm-hmm.
a whole bunch of things, and that was never enough. Mentally, it was never enough, but it was more than what I should have done with the sport. It's really a thing of that's why I'm trying to give back. What got me into fighting at a young age was I was just angry all the time. All the time. I moved around a lot. I never had real secure friends. It's all stuff that I'm dealing with now as
Mm-hmm.
an adult. So it's like on the forefront of my mind. Asking these questions is like this. I've been answering them to a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people lately, and it really makes a lot of sense of why I live my life the way I do. It's easy for me to leave. I can just pack up my go. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll walk into a gym full of 500 killers and not care that I'm out of place because guess what? We're gonna fight.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, we're gonna go on the mats and we're gonna train together and we're gonna see. We're gonna find out. The mats don't lie. But what really got me into fighting was my mom told me I couldn't fight. My mom always told me I wasn't allowed to fight. You're not fighting. Well, my
Yeah.
mom passed away when I was 23 and she was no longer there to tell me no. And I walked into a gym and it changed my life. It got me to where I am now. It really makes me like, I'm 32. I don't like the cold. Why have I lived in New England 32 years of my life? Because other people made me to like do
Mm-hmm.
that. Now I'm selling my house and I'm moving somewhere warm because I don't care what other people say. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be warm. I want to walk outside and not have my toes freeze. I fucking hate that. I want to
No.
go run at 9 o'clock at night and not freeze my ass off. But fighting, it doesn't stop inside of the cage.
Yeah.
That's actually the easiest place for me. Like, I might not win all the time. There's some really good fighters. I fought some great competition. I fought
Mm-hmm.
Jay Perrin as an amateur. He fought last night against the youngest fighter in the UFC
Mm-hmm.
history. And it's like, that's a big stepping stone for someone like me, like a guy that I fought somewhere down the line is fighting in the UFC. And it's like, these are all my choices on what I want to do with fighting.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing I know. Like, and I don't mean that in the form of like, I just know how to fight. Like, I know how to cut weight. I know how to sell a fight. I know how to make money. I know how the promotions work. Um, And it's been like this since boxing days. I started boxing in Gamache boxing gym here in Lewiston, Maine, and I hear what people have to say about him now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, you guys do realize he's training world champs in boxing right now. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't give a fuck about what your opinion is of him because you're not paying his mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
you're not paying his car note. You can say whatever you want about 1992 Joey Gamache, but it's 2022 Joey Gamache now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a whole different person. That's what I want to show. I want to show that you can change from where you, like, 5 people I know died yesterday. Just
Oh
yesterday.
wow. Sorry
When
to
you
hear
know a
that.
lot of people, it's like, and all these people want to have some quick judgment to say about those people.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you going to do to help them? Because I'm doing stuff every day. I don't make money from me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a daughter, and I have a whole United States full of people that are just scared to get out of what we've been trained to do our entire life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what got me back into fighting. I started fighting because I lost my mother and I wanted to compete, and it was just I wanted I wanted something to like distract me from what was
Mm-hmm.
going on in my life. And then as I got older, I got back into fighting because it's like this shouldn't be a distraction. This should be your focus. This is what you should be doing. Put all your effort into things you're good at and don't give a shit about the things you're bad at. So that's why I'm here. Like, it's hard for me to think of like not fighting again.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you followed me last year. I fought 8 times. I had more fights last year than most people have in a career. I fought literally on a Friday night, the following Saturday, the following Saturday. Like, and in that time, 2 weeks before that, I got married and
Yeah.
fought before. Like, all I did in 2022 was fight. And I'm still fighting. The year ain't over. I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm selling my house and like going through a divorce and like trying to figure out my life.
How are you using your fight journey right now to manage your personal life? Because I know you said in the beginning you used it, to heal and get through your mother's death. And then you realize that you should be focusing more on fighting. But how are you using it to combine it where you're both using it as healing, but also as, you know, your passion and what is it exactly that you want?
In April of 2023, I'll be turning 33. And I already have some connections down in Florida
Mm-hmm.
to teach full time. Um, it's a very scary and emotional thing to think about from someone who hasn't trained in a gi in 4 or 5 years. Um, Still a purple belt, even though I've had 6 years of training since I
Mm-hmm.
stopped wearing a gi and training for those promotions. Like
Mm-hmm.
the last time it's been 6 years since I got my last stripe on my purple belt. And it's like 6 years, I would almost be to being a purple belt again if I started
Mm-hmm.
fresh. So getting back into that, the motivation is helping someone fight. When people show up to an MMA gym, they're not there to fight. They're
Mm-hmm.
there to fight this, all of
Yes.
this, everything that goes on here. And I'll say it in this interview, and I'll say it in any interview. I want 15 minutes to talk to Patty Pimblett because I think he has a huge voice for suicide
Mm-hmm.
and men's mental health and
Mm-hmm.
like dealing with your emotions. That's what my biggest thing is right now is just I know why I was using. I know why I had such a great life and a great fighting career and I was still getting out of the gym and smoking.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't because I wanted to get high. It's because I hated the reality of why do we live here? Like, why are we living like this? Why are we treating people like this? Why are we doing this to people that we love and care about? It's always the people closest to you that'll do you dirty first.
Mm-hmm.
And when kids, young adults walk into these MMA academies, they're not there to learn how to fight. They learning how to cope. They need
Mm-hmm.
an outlet. They need something to get them away from their reality. I love it when 57-year-old doctors walk through the door because they wanted to strangle someone because they don't understand the reality of someone died in that person's hands today.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a hard time taking an order for my coffee. Like, there's a big difference in people.
Yeah.
But the problem is we don't just let people be who they are. Let that person that can only take a phone order or food order or whatever it is do that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't belittle them for it. Let them do what they're good at. Maybe teach them things to be better at, but focus on the things that lift them up, not tear them down. Because that's all we do is tear people down. I know how it is. I've been being torn down by the closest to me for the
Mm-hmm.
closest people to me for the last 2 years. After losing an entire gym and being segregated from a gym and being kicked out for hearsay and stuff that I know I never did. And it's like, I'll take my L's. I'll take my L's every time. I'll use that as a learning experience for the bad things I did do. Don't do those bad things because they can lead to people thinking you did worse things.
Mm-hmm. So the Matt Denning from 10 years ago compared to the Matt Denning now, what are, I guess, the differences? Like, what has shaped you to become the person that you are today? Or if you could go back, would you go back?
I would waste money back in the day trying to impress people. And
You
now
would?
I'm, yeah, all the time. It was easy. But now I ain't wasting anything trying to impress no one, but I'm gonna save a lot of it and save a lot of people. You can't save the rainforest. There's two ways you save the rainforest. You have so much money that you can give up a bunch of it and not give a fuck about it. Two, you have so much free time and so little obligations that you can be there and actually do something to help everything going on there. That's it. When I hear people say, "Oh, I wish I could help," you could. You could stop spending $60 a week on shit that you don't need. You can start treating your kid like you're their parent instead of their friend.
Mm-hmm.
You can start by calling up your friends that you treat like shit, even though they're your real friends, and see what the fuck's going on with them and try to make that relationship better. And you can stop chasing after people that don't give a fuck. That's what you can do to help me. And if what those things are doing don't actually affect me, then you're not close enough for me to care what the fuck you're doing. It's not my problem. There's so many people that reach out to me and they're like, "I'm so glad you're doing better. You're such an influence to me." And I'm like, "Bro, I'm dying every fucking day inside." But I'm not putting that fire out because there's people like you that need me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm allowed to die every day. That's what we're all doing.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't allow myself to like continue to beat myself up over it. It's like, yeah, we thought about it for a minute. It made us upset. I'm not thinking about that anymore, and we got to move on with the stuff that we got to do. We can't dwell on the. I've been dealing with it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a lot of shit going on at my house right now, and it's like, you got to get it done. No one's gonna do it for you.
What advice would you give to individuals that are going through something similar but don't have the strength that you have?
I'm creating an app for this. I'm creating a website for this. I'm going to be the financial backer for all of it. I never want someone to not get help because of money. And I see the homeless community just where I live. Philadelphia is the greatest city on planet Earth to me because their whole community is just a bunch of kids on dirt bikes and four wheelers doing wheelies on the internet, and they're making money to keep people from doing drugs. And it's like, you haven't seen ghetto until you've seen ghetto. And it's like, how can you stand in the birthplace of America where they wrote everything and did all the shit for our country and look at a homeless guy wheeling himself with no legs in a wheelchair who fought for our fucking country, and you're not
Mm-hmm.
doing anything to help him? I don't care what it takes from me. I will do whatever I have to do to raise enough money, to make enough money to help people. And people say I'm sexist all the time. It's men that I want to help. Women can go get help, and I don't say this to be mean, but it's easier for a woman
Mm-hmm.
to get help. I want men to know that we can work hard. We can be fighters. We can be badass men and still have feelings.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that know, no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're gonna keep telling someone over and over again, like, what you're doing hurts my feelings, and they don't listen, then it's your fault.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad you're doing something to be an advocate for men because it is true. Men don't have the same access as women do. It's sad that there's not a lot of services out there for men. And if the men who are supposed to be the head don't have the resources to help them and guide them, like how can they really provide? And if a man can't feel comfortable enough to reach out and get the help that he needs, how can he really help others? Like it's like instead of bashing the men for looking for help, you should be like, that's awesome that you are reaching out and you're looking for help, because that just shows that you are looking ahead and you're looking for the best interest of yourself, of your children, of your family, instead of being, well, you're weak. No, a weak person doesn't look for help.
I've been looking for help for me. This is why
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm trying to make all this like less of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But the country we live in doesn't want to do that. If you get men help, what goes down? Domestic
Everything goes
violence.
down.
Domestic violence goes down if you
Mm-hmm.
get men help. They lose money. Alcohol sales go down if you get men help.
Mm-hmm.
They lose money. The reason they don't want to help men is
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to go broke.
Mm-hmm.
If you have like a jar full of rocks, the only way to continue filling that jar is to put some type of liquid in there that's going to move around all that stuff to
Mm-hmm.
get to the bottom and fill its way up. That's what the government does with men. They
Mm-hmm.
just feed them in between every orifice of problem, and it all lies on them. I'm gonna be homeless in a couple, like next week. After I move all my stuff into storage, I have no place to go. Do I look like a man that cares about that? No. I'll have a whole bunch of money that I don't care if I stay in a hotel. I'll go down to American Top Team and pay for a pod and sleep there and stay in the gym for a couple weeks until my fight. I'm capable of taking care of me. I'm doing all this to buy a better home for my family and to get into a position of less debt, but no one sees any of that because they only see what you're not providing. Men just aren't allowed to have feelings. It's what it all comes back to. And then they're like, well, you shouldn't feel that way. And I'm like, what?
You should feel what you
No,
feel. You
that's
should
the
think
thing. They
what you
just they
think.
just want to tell you you shouldn't feel that way. Yeah, I just told you my feelings don't matter, and you disagreed with me, and then the next sentence said you shouldn't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then my biggest one is I'm sorry you feel that way. You're sorry I feel the way I do. I've just explained to you 14 different times why I'm right, and you're sorry that like. And that's the thing. If I can explain to you why I'm right, and you can't explain to me why you are, you're wrong.
The issue with people nowadays is that they don't listen. Nobody wants to listen. Everything would be resolved if they would listen and not listen to react. Because a lot of people are picking, okay, you just said this. Oh, so I'm going to respond to this. And it's like, no, no, take a moment and listen to the whole thing. And then, because sometimes you don't even have to say anything. It's just a person needs to vent and get it out of their system. You listen to them, boom. Is there anything else that I can help you with? Okay, cool. And that's it. But everybody wants to listen to the other person. And it's like, okay, I'm taking notes. I'm going to react to this. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And it's like, you make the situation worse because you didn't listen. I remember one time I was talking to a friend of mine. They were helping me move. And I was like, my biggest issue is that nobody wants to listen to me. Every time I start talking, everybody just wants to give me a solution. But they're not listening to me. It's like, it's not that I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It's not that I don't know how to do it. It's I need somebody to actually just listen. Like, don't give me your opinion because you don't know my situation. Just listen. So I remember I was talking and my friend started responding. He wanted to tell me his point of view. And then my other friend is like, did you just not hear her say that she just wanted somebody to listen? Like, that's it. Just listen. But then he was like, oh, okay. And it was just like, no, it's because everybody has their opinion. Everybody has their view and it's perfectly fine. But we don't see things the same way. We're not all the same. So it's a matter of just taking a step back, listening to the person, and that's it. And everything will eventually just fall into place.
I don't believe everyone that sees professional professional help, especially in
Mhm.
a family atmosphere, should be seeing separate professionals. Because
the advice that my wife might get and my stepdaughter might get and my daughter might get might be 100% different than what I'm getting. If you're going to have professionals in your life, you need to do these like group things, meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Alcoholics and drug addicts will tell you like meetings are important.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't believe in them. My best friend tried to bring me to meetings all the time, and I didn't believe in going to meetings. And now it's like, no, we need to have more meetings, but with more of us that
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to have meetings with people that, like, sure, it's nice to go to those every once in a while if you're a drug addict or you're an alcoholic, but you need to have meetings with your friends. Internet conversations, Snapchat bullshit, whatever it is not real things. And we've gotten away from that. The pandemic, like, I can blame a lot of this on the government and how they handled the pandemic and how it's like men aren't allowed to stick up and say, listen, I worked this entire fucking time. I didn't have a vacation, not
Mm-hmm.
once. I'm 32. I've never been on vacation. My best friend took his vacation from work, and we ended up fighting. Not like with each other. Like
Oh, I was like, wait a minute, what?
I took a fight, and like we went down to Mass and bought a motorcycle and had a fight. His whole vacation was just driving around doing shit for my fight. But he's my best friend. He's like, this is fucking cool. Like, if I'm gonna have time off of work, like, we're buying motorcycles and going to MMA fights. It wasn't that bad of a time. There's people out there that spend thousands of dollars to go watch someone fight or a concert or a hockey game or whatever, and they won't spend $50 to support their friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's mind-boggling how people's priorities aren't on point anymore. It's because, unfortunately, before we conclude, if you had anything to share.
Be on the lookout for V Twin Sin. It'll be my clothing line that I'm working on launching in the beginning of 2023, and I'm looking at creating the apps and all the stuff to help with men's mental health because I know how little people listen, especially to men, because I am a very loud man and I feel very unheard. So I'm going to keep fucking screaming until someone listens. Because eventually it'll fall into the right hands and someone will catch on. And I really think Patty Pimblett's a good guy to talk to about that because we're both in the, like, Harley Davidson themselves hears about me and Patty getting together, they will give him a motorcycle. I guarantee it. And it's like, we need the people with all the money to give us their resources right now to save some lives. We need, like, I need people to know that the big point at the end of the day is I'm sick of waking up to seeing people I know dead because no one listened to them. And it's every day, like, to be sitting here on my couch with how much drugs I've done in my life, with my best friend on my other couch, knowing how much drugs he's done in his life, knowing that we are years sober, and that's our biggest fight at the beginning of the day is like, I don't know how long I'm going to be sober, but I am going to be today. And that's it. Because it's not helping my mental health if I'm not. That's the ultimate goal. You might have days where you want to play video games and hide from the world, but that's way better than the alternative.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. We'll get together again soon.
Yes. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.